Hi, welcome back. As I said, after my Gent's tidy up little video, which my hair's looking alright still, I will be cutting that myself in the next few days and I'll video that for you. I wanted to show you how to cut somebody else's hair because hopefully there's somebody else at home that could do this for you. As I said in my last video, I demonstrate how to do a gent's haircut. So this is my son Leo. I'm going to say hello, Leo.
Hello.
Who's been in dire need of a haircut for quite some time now. So I thought I'd demonstrate on him, and it's helpful obviously if you're going to try and cut your kids' hair as well. So first of all, the things that you're going to need, obviously a comb. If you have got some hairdressing scissors, then that's great. I won't ask what other scissors you may be tempted to use, but if you've got some, that's great. I'm going to show you a clipper cut with this. So I've got my clippers with number 3, 2 and 1. You can just use whatever kind of length you want to use, but I'm going to show you how to do a proper little taper. So first of all, we're going to just dampen down Leo's hair. This is BB Prep, great for keeping the hair nice and moist, great for kids' hair, just gives it a nice fresh feeling to it, and it'll help it to keep it wet for this little video. So the first thing that you want to kind of try and imagine with a gent's haircut is the actual shape that you're going to cut. Now somebody told me this many years ago when I was learning hairdressing, that if you imagine Leo's hair all kind of stuck out on its ends like this, then you're trying to cut a box shape on his head. That's the kind of shape that you're trying to create. And it's what tends to make the difference between your haircut looking more masculine or more feminine. This little kind of corner on the side there tends to make hair look a little bit more masculine. If you round that off, if you've got short ladies' hair, then that's what you tend to do with short ladies, to make it look a little bit more feminine. It makes no difference, it's just down to personal preference. So if you imagine we're trying to cut this kind of box shape on Leo's head that's going to kind of taper in here where my palms are. So to do that, we cut it in 2 sections, the underneath here and through the top. And there's a little line that in hairdressing is very important to this type of haircut. It's called the horseshoe section. I'm not going to show you all how to do that because it could take me 10 minutes to actually horseshoe Leo's hair properly. So if you notice Leo's face shape where it kind of goes in, that's where you want the kind of the box to really start to corner here. So this little line is going to be your guideline really for how long your overall haircut is going to be. So I'll just show you a little close up as to how I'm going to cut that on Leo's head. So you can almost see actually in Leo where the last line that I cut was, and you might even see that in your own hair or in the person's hair that you're cutting. So on Leo's we're going to cut it around about here, and then everything up until this line is going to be the shorter area of Leo's haircut, and then above that is going to be the longer area. So what I do, just comb it out. Now don't pull the hair. If you pull the hair you'll end up with a very uneven haircut. So you're actually using the comb there to just comb the hair onto your finger, and then you're just clamping it. And so I'm just going to cut Leo's hair around about that length. You can change this as the haircut goes on, but it just gives you a bit of a guide to where you want to work your clippers up to. Drop it ever so slightly down through the back. If you cut it too high up here, that's going to make a bit of a mess. So just try, imagine a horseshoe shape. You're going to cut all the way around. We're continuing around the back, as I said. We're going to kind of drop it down a little bit below the crown. Just imagine a horseshoe shape all the way. So hopefully on Leo's hair you can see you've got this kind of like a round horseshoe shape. Alright, now I'll show you how to clipper it. So ideally you probably would want to start in the back here. Well, I would personally, because if I get that length just right, then that's fine. If I need to take it a little bit shorter, that's great. And then you work your way around this way, and then you work your way around that way. Obviously that's going to be quite difficult. But I will do that actually, because hopefully with this haircut somebody else is going to be cutting your hair for you. So this is a number 2 guard, and I've also as well just made the blades nice and open, so it just probably makes it about 2.5. Now the idea with clippering is that we're going to kind of comb through and then start to pull out just where we've cut this guideline. So we're going to go through and out, through and out, through and out. You do want the head to be a little bit more drier because it just cuts better. So I'll just show you that technique.
And you don't dig it into the hair.
No. And so you don't really need to press into, you're just letting the comb glide along the surface of the scalp and then out. Out. And you start with your longest length, so this is like about a 2.5. I was going to think that Leo might need a number 3 because it is quite long for Leo, but I don't think it does. So we're going to start there with a 2.5, and can you see there it just kind of blends in quite nicely. So we're not too bothered about this area just yet, we're just trying to get this little inch of the hair to a nice length. So I'm going to work my way around the other side now, before I go too far forward. If you're cutting somebody else's hair and this is your first time, then they won't see the mistakes that you make in the back first, will they? But if you start at the front, they'll see that straight away. Then Leo, just turn your head for me, just so that we can true position the camera. So now we come to the front on this side. I'm going to go on a slight angle. And what you're looking for here is just these little ridges. That means that you've not perhaps cut quite enough off. So just going a little closer. And follow the hairline at the front. So this kind of like a curved shape. Well, we're going to follow that. I'm going to go through it as well. So now we've done that all the way around, and I'm quite happy with that. It meets up with the guideline quite nicely. I'm just going to just now knock those clippers to go a little bit closer, just to take a little bit more off. So this is now a number 2, which is as short as Leo needs to go around here. So again, just starting in the back, just going over where we've been, just taking it that little bit closer. So again, just get that kind of action. I'm not really pressing on his scalp, and actually if you just tip your head like that, Leo, you can probably see just in my clippers there that I'm not really taking anything off the bottom just yet. I'm just taking off this little area and I'm scooping out. So now I'm going to change my blade from a number 2 to a number 1 or 1.5, because I'm going to open the blades up again, do exactly the same technique as you just saw a moment ago, but I'm going to drop that guideline a little bit lower to just take it a little bit shorter over this area here. Now do be careful with the number 1. Surprisingly, there's a lot of difference between a number 2 and a number 1. This is a number 1 will make your haircut look really quite short if you take it too high. So there's a number 1.5. Exactly the same technique, but we're just going to scoop out just a little bit lower than the other line that we've just cut. So let's start in the back here, and let's scoop out around about there, which is just short of an inch under the last line that you cut. So I'll just show you from a different angle here. And Leo's got a bit of a crazy hairline, as you can see. Gets it from his old man. So that, if you have got a crazy hairline like that, I tend to kind of cut down first. Otherwise you can kind of dig into the skin a little bit too much and just take it a little bit short. So I tend to just come, cut it down, and then just in a few different directions first. But again, we're concentrating on just taking this a little bit lower. So I'm just working my way around the sides here, just towards the ear. You can go just across like that. Now here, you just have to be careful not to go too high, because obviously if I cut this right the way up to that line there, Leo's going to get a much shorter haircut. So we're just being careful just to scoop out underneath, through the sides. Leo, just turn your head for me. Through the sides here, you can go a little bit higher, because you want it to kind of drop down like that. And if I just turn it around up there a little bit more. And I just taper the edge of a fella's haircut like that. And now the other side. So now I'm going to knock that down to make it a little bit closer, and just go over the same area again. So I'm just going to tidy around Leo's hairline as well. Now if you've cut this right, it makes an easy job of tidying up around the hairline, because obviously we're taking it quite short here anyway, so all we just need to kind of determine is what line we want to follow. I probably want to just go as long as possible. I don't like Leo to look like he's had too much of a barber haircut, but I just take off this little area around about here. This is where your skilled barbers do a beautiful skin fade. Well, I'm not going to do that, so I just comb it down, and I just go over the comb a little bit first, just so I don't take it too short. You may find as well, if you're cutting a kid's hair, that you don't even need to do this often. It's just Leo's, as I say, got quite a low hairline like his old man. So I kind of determine I want it around about here, and I'll work from the centre just out, just taking those little ones. Turn the little neck trimmers, I should have said before, these are little neck trimmers. The other way around, just to take off these little ones. And then work my way around. His little hairline up to his ear. So that it blends in nicely. And then work my way around this way as well. Just so that hairline kind of melts away. And again, same around the ear, just turn your head for us, Leo. Similar to when I showed you the gents tidy up, comb it forward, comb it back, and just take away those little ones. Just using the very edge of your trimmer there. Don't dig into the head as well. So that can be most uncomfortable. Just use the very edge, like that. So just tidy that up. On the other way, Leo. And let's do the other side. Now you might find, depending upon how long your hair was in the first place, that's almost enough to your hair. Because if you just look at Leo's hair now, that little taper is not far off where his last. Remember, we're trying to cut this kind of shape here, so this hair has to kind of come out like that. It's not far off his last haircut. but yours might be a little bit longer than that. So I'll just show you, this is where you get your hairdressing scissors. This is a little bit more challenging. What you want to try and do is comb it down so that you can see the line that you've cut. Comb all the hair down to that line, put your finger underneath it, comb it out if you can. And what you want to do then is just chip into the hair like that if you can. Comb it out and chip into the hair like that. So you might find that you've got an awful lot of more hair hanging over here, and that's fine, just cut it back to that guideline that you've just cut underneath there. And again, do that all the way around the sides there as well. So you've created this horseshoe shape. So again, comb it out so you can see what you've got to cut off, a little bit there. You can cut it straight like that. Let me just demonstrate what happens there. When you cut it straight, you tend to find you get more of a line. So I just like to make hair look a little bit more lived in by just cutting it. This is called point cutting. So if you can do this, great, or if you just can cut it straight, then that's fine as well. But do have a go at doing this. You've nothing to lose. And this little bit here, don't be tempted to cut that off too quickly. It's very, very tempting to take these little ones away. Don't do that just yet. We'll show you how to tidy that up. So those are the sides, and as you can probably see now, we've created that kind of box shape all the way around Leo's hair. So now all we have to do is cut the top and tidy up his fringe. I'm just going to pop Leo's head down for us. Make sure it's damp and wet first. You'll find it a whole lot easier and a whole lot cleaner. So comb it kind of forwards and just comb around the crown there. When I took the part of the crown, put your head right forward. So you've got it combed like this. What you're going to try and do is you're going to try and create little horizontal sections like this. Can you see those lines through there? And you're going to then, so let's create a little section through the top here. Let's start just in front of his crown. Comb it so it's like this. And then this hair at the back, you're going to gather together. And remember, you're not pulling it with your fingers. It's the comb that creates like an even tension. And you're going to look at where the hairs create. You're going to look for where the hair, around about is here. You're going to take off that little line in between that. So that's hair that's come from here. So that's the right length. When you comb it up, that gives you your guideline to cut in between. So let's comb it across. Comb that out of the way. As you comb up, you'll see this like little peak, and what you're trying to do is just grasp the hair. If you're scared, then do the hair from here, because that'll mean that you're not cutting it so short. If you do it wider than that, then you're cutting the hair shorter. If you do it more narrow, you're not taking quite so much off. So let's do that first. Let's start narrow. So that's about the width of my fingers there in the middle of Leo's hair. I am going to point cut it. Again, you can cut it like this, but I am going to just point cut it. And that's it. You don't have to worry about cutting this area of Leo's hair. You would have cut that when you combed it down and cut it down here. And so then, I'm going to just comb another little section, which, pop your head forward, Leo, is about 1 inch deep. And so this is the area that's been cut. I'm going to comb through it, comb it up, and when I push the hair forward, I'll see a little guideline there. And so what I'm doing is going to just cut into that, like that. And then I'm going to half that section, comb it back, take another little section in front of it, comb it up, and snip. Just make sure I'm not cutting my guide too much shorter. When Naomi's done this on my hair, what tends to happen is it gets shorter and shorter and shorter as you go forward. So to stop that, half your section, and then just comb it back ever so slightly. And if you like the fringe quite short, comb it down so you can determine where you want it to be. And that's why we said make sure you don't cut off these little sides here, otherwise you'll end up with this kind of like a V shape. For Leo, I'm going to cut his fringe a little bit shorter. So to do that, I'm going to comb it out and I'm going to comb it forwards and just take a little bit off there. And that's pretty much it. That's all. So that's pretty much Leo's hair done. You can kind of feel through the shape now that it's drying off. And yeah, I think that's going to look pretty cool for Leo. So let's just tidy him off a little bit. And then style him out. I'm going to leave the hair just with a slight amount of moisture in it still, because Leo likes to use BBC Tech, and so this one it's really low maintenance. You can leave your hair with a slight bit of damp in it. You got a stronger effect if it's completely dry, but I'm just going to put some through while Leo's hair still just got a little bit of moisture in it whilst it's cooling down. Remember what I said, lads, get a nice smear, make sure you get it all the way through your palms and rub it all the way through your hair. I can't see Leo at this moment, but he normally makes some very interesting faces when I'm doing this. Try not to, Leo. So I'm making sure the shimmer takes all the way through Leo's hair. This is how he tends to style it. And I'll just gather that forward using my finger like a comb. Just give it a little bit of a brush through. There you go, Leo. Fantastic. So next time I'm going to show you how to do that, hopefully on my hair. See if Naomi's been able to follow the video.